What a great time on the Breakfast Club this morning. And I love it because we talked about really how we wrap up the podcast almost every time, which is anything we're doing is worth doing badly. Just get started.
Yeah, that was great, man. And to hear the peeps that we have on the show
Yeah.
explaining what they did,
Yeah.
heeding that advice and the results that people, that they were getting is just great. And it is so true, Steve. We've talked about this more than once, and it's worth talking about a lot. It really
Right.
is because
Right.
it's one of the main things that gets in our way, and we all know things that we should do, or that we know there are things that'll bring results, but we kind of put these little hurdles in front of us.
Hmm.
Like, well, I will do that, but first I need to set up my CRM. I'll get to
Mm.
that, but first
Mm.
I need to get a class on how to use the power dialer, and
Yeah.
that's not till next week. So I really can't start till after I
Right.
see
Yeah.
that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm just picking that as, and there could be any example. It could be, hey, I want to start a podcast. Well, I will, but I got to find someone on Fiverr to create my YouTube channel first. You know
Mm.
what I mean? It could be anything that,
Hmm.
but you're right. Anything worth doing, if it's worth doing,
Yeah.
right? It is worth doing badly. We just have to get started because one of the things that you said today, and I want you to elaborate on it, is we think preparation brings clarity, and
Right.
it's really, it doesn't.
Yeah.
What brings clarity is rolling up your sleeves, getting in and doing it, and then you start to see, okay, here's where my
Yeah.
adjustments need to be
Yeah.
made. Here's what that's what brings clarity, right?
Yeah, well, hey, and I'll give you an example. This is a perfect example. And you and I've talked about it. I'm originating loans. Great. I mean, doing and having a blast doing it this month. 6 months ago, I just got started. So everybody knows
Mm,
that. This month,
mm,
I did, what was it, 12 units for like 4.5 million, somewhere in
mm.
there.
Wonderful.
Well, and then we've got another, we'll close another 12, 15 this next month. So I mean, it's building and growing. But Frank, one of the things I was laughing at, I remember it was almost 16 weeks ago I started sending these emails. And
Mm,
so part of my marketing was it's number one, we started with phone calls. Number two, we started doing targeted custom audiences. So I
mm.
wanted to do things that I felt like would help us grow. And then one of the last ones was getting these emails consistent. And it
Yeah.
was so funny, man, because I started with a list of 200. And now, Frank, I think my list is something like 14,000, real controlled, real hyper
Mm,
focused in the Houston
mm,
market, qualified
mm.
agents. And it was funny, my open rate in the beginning was like 3 and 4%. I mean, it was
Right.
awful.
Yeah.
Uh, I looked this last week, my open rate across something like, I mean, it was a lot of emails, like 40,000 emails, was something like 39%.
That's
And that,
massive.
hey, and listen, that's cold list, warm list,
Yeah.
list. I mean, every
Yeah.
week I'm growing the list by 1,200.
Yeah.
I got this whole process. And you know what I was thinking about? If I would, because I didn't know the importance of emails and protecting your emails and not getting put into spam and warming it
Right.
up and
Yeah.
unsubscribed. And I know you and I talked a little bit about it. You helped us with it as well. But if I would have been afraid of getting everything right versus just saying, "Hey, look, I got a list of 200.
Let's go.
w- what what am I going to hurt? Like right now,
Right.
it's an additional 200 on top of the phone calls we're already making. And
Hmm.
so we have to realize that taking action looks a little messy.
Mm.
And guess what? The first emails weren't good. We had lots of opt-outs. But here's what I say. Take action and then refine in the downtime.
Mm.
So I'll give you an example. Even last week, I just grabbed all the emails and I grabbed all the topics and then I grabbed all the stats and then I work with chat and I say, here's the emails, here's the stats, here's the data. What can we do to refine it? And it's like every week I just refine it one little bit. And I
Mm.
usually do my
Mm.
refining on Saturday and Sundays. I've
Mm.
got some morning time.
Mm.
But Frank, it's a great example of anything we're doing is worth doing badly. Just get
Right.
started. Because had I waited to understand how often to send it, if I'd have
Mm.
waited to understand what time to send it, if I'd have
Mm.
waited to understand that a subject line and a preview line impacts the open rate, you know, I just never would have done it because that was so much to learn. And then I
Right.
think about phone calls the same way. If if I wait to get the perfect script versus just calling qualified agents, if you
Mm.
don't know anything to say, just say, I'd love to work with you.
Yeah, that makes me think about
I,
a lot of times people will wait to make the phone call because they feel like we just heard somebody say it on
Paulina on the
no,
Breakfast
no, no,
Club.
not Paulina today, but there was somebody yesterday
Oh yeah,
who we were talking about this, and the person put in the script the reason that he doesn't make the call is because he's trying to figure out what his value item is. Like, I got to have the right value item
right,
first
right.
before I make the call,
Yeah,
and that's a that perfect example of, you know,
you are the value. Just make the
yeah.
call. Just
Well, I'm
make the
just
call.
saying, and it's a perfect example of,
How we get
overthinking
paralyzed.
something,
Yeah,
getting paralyzed, and now I
yeah.
have an excuse. I have
Yes,
my excuse to not make my call
yes.
because I have to have this value thing that's leaps and bounds above everybody else's thing. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that I can stand out, and
You don't. Yeah.
it's just a mental hurdle, man, that you just put up a stumbling block, into your progress. And then we talked to you, like you said, talk about Paulina this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Yeah.
was an interesting call. I mean, an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us
Yeah, yeah, hey,
about Paul. Yeah,
let's talk about this. She was in my 8 week boot camp. She
yeah,
jumped in earlier this year, was closing zero deals, and now consistently closing. I mean, she's closing six this month. I know when she exited the boot camp, I mean, you're talking 6 to 8 loans a month, pretty consistent. So,
right.
and the first thing she said was, I need help with my scripts.
Mm.
And I think this is really important because we tend to say, I need help with my script without understanding the numbers. Because Frank, when we got to the numbers, she didn't need help with their script. She just needed to make more calls.
Right,
So, but we
right.
don't
You know what?
understand that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
she was like my in her mind, she was thinking 1 to 2 appointment conversions out of 10 conversations was
Right,
low. Right.
right.
She was thinking that's not enough.
This
Obviously, my script is
something's wrong with
wrong,
me. Right.
right? Because I'm not converting half of them, or
Yeah.
something like that. But the truth is, the numbers, that's kind of where they are. No matter
Right.
what
Right.
script you use, you're going to convert about 10 to 30%, right? Out of conversation will turn
The
into
average
a
really
yeah.
dialed in is about 25%. And I'd say
Yeah.
if you're a little bit under that, so I would say probably 2 out of 10. Three, you're killing it. One, you probably could, refine it a little bit.
Hmm.
Hey there, if you're loving the tips so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss out on more cool free tips coming your way. I'd also love to hear from you. Make sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you think, or what it is you want to see next. And we'll see you on the inside. See you. But it was funny because she said, I need help with my script. And it's like, okay, well,
Right.
tell me your numbers.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'm getting 1 to 2 appointments, not terrible, and it's in
Right.
line.
No.
So now it really just goes back to making more calls. And
Oh,
I
and by
think,
the way, funding six in December
yeah, and
as a
had already
brand
a
new loan
couple in
officer.
January.
Yeah, and who's got a pipeline? And I think she said she had a pipeline of about the same for next month,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And so it's like you were like, but it's working.
Well, that's what because you have to ask yourself, for some reason, we tend to beat ourselves up, Frank. And it's like, she's like, well, it's not working. And I said, well, did you have these relationships before? No. Are these new relationships? Yes. Do you think it's working? I guess it is.
It is.
It
Yeah.
is working.
She's such a neat person and such a great story. And
Yeah.
just, God, you know what the truth is, bro? She was just like hungry for more.
Yeah.
She's hungry for more,
Yeah.
which is a great place to be,
Well,
but
and
yeah, she just needed a little light on the fact that you're actually doing pretty good.
you're doing really well.
Yeah,
You're
you're
doing really
actually
well.
doing pretty good.
Yeah, and hey, and it goes back to this. Let's say this, and I know we'll wrap up here in just a minute. But anything we're doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. Really comes from something I think we all heard about growing up. I know I did. I would hear my dad say things like this, and it wasn't just my dad. It's kind of, what do you call it, a colloquialism or something like that. It's this, like, it's a
That's a big
phrase.
college word for me, brother. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's a phrase that everybody adopts, and it becomes, so people would say this all the time. Anything worth doing, son, is worth doing. Everybody can fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
and for me, those heated moments are moments that kind of sear in your brain. And I remember we were working in the kitchen. My dad, managed and owned restaurants. And I'm prepping shrimp and seafood in the back, and we must have been in a rush or something and had some kind of a lunch or dinner run or something. And he came in, and me and my brothers were goofing off, I'm sure. And he said, "Son, he pounded, and I don't remember exactly, but I just remember the feeling. He's like, son, anything, if you're going to do this, you need to do it
Do it
right. And he
right.
was just
Yeah.
upset.
Mm.
And, I remember it was several years ago, probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I was trying to figure out, Frank, why does everything have to be perfect before I take action?
Mm.
And what I was able to do was just process that it really came from my dad. And it wasn't meant, it wasn't ill intent. He wasn't trying to be a
Mm.
jerk. It was
Mm-mm.
just a wrong phrase that was adopted over time that causes people to be paralyzed. Anything worth
Right.
doing is not worth doing right. It's worth
Mm.
doing badly.
Right.
The key is this, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
And we think that if I prep enough, if I plan enough, if I mastermind enough, if I get my CRM dialed in enough, if I've memorized enough scripts, that I'll have it just right and I'll get the conversion. And the truth is, let us let you off the hook. You won't.
You
It's
won't.
not going to be good. Um, Frank, probably 6 months ago, I started making calls again,
Yeah.
bro. And I think I told you this, but like some of my first calls, they were awful. And I'm the
Yeah.
script master.
Right.
Because I've been primarily focused on recruiting in a different realm for four
Sure.
years and leading teams. And so getting back into the conversations with agents and
Mm.
clients, I
Mm.
just remember my first one. Some of them you just laugh and you're like, dude, it's so bad.
Mm.
And that's okay. I had one last week. It was bad. And I just said, hey, I don't think we're going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
And you just, okay, what can I do better and make the next? What can I do better and
Yeah.
make the next? And what'll happen is you'll get into this rhythm. I think what we tend to do, where the limiting belief comes, Frank, is we take action and we never reflect on how to refine it.
Yeah.
And it's like I just
Exactly.
keep doing and saying and doing and saying and doing and saying, and I never say, all right, what could I do to refine that a little bit?
Mm.
Make more
Mm.
calls. What could I do to refine it? And if we'll
Mm.
just keep this dance back and forth, it will get better. But let me say this as well. 100 calls isn't enough.
Mm.
500
Yeah.
calls may not be enough.
You're talking in a week
I'm just saying in
in
general, because
general.
here's what
Mm.
you'll do. And I'm just, for me personally,
Mm.
like we think, oh man, I made 10 calls. Not enough.
That
100,
ain't
not
it. No.
enough.
Mm-mm.
Well, you're barely getting started. I heard somebody say it, this guy say it, and he's an expert. He said it takes 20 hours to become proficient in something.
Mm.
Not an expert, proficient. He
Yeah.
said the problem is so many of you take a year to get through 20 hours versus some people get through 20 hours in a week.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
your choice. It
Interesting.
doesn't change the time.
Right.
It doesn't, like, I think you got to make 1,000 phone calls. And
Right.
that's when you start humming and it's like, man, I'm starting to get the hang of this thing.
Yeah.
Well, you
Yeah.
take 1,000 phone calls. I mean, if you're using a dialer, you're probably getting through 50 to 100 calls an hour. That's
Mm.
kind of slow.
Mm.
So put that in perspective. 2 hours times 10. I mean, you're really talking about 1,000 calls is about 20 hours.
Mm.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
So, yeah, and
Yeah.
also, hey, let me encourage you this because we heard somebody else, and I wish I could remember his name, but he was brand new in the business, and he
Mike.
put 6 deals in his pipeline. Mike O'Rourke, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he put 6 deals in his pipeline, and it happened when he said, "I got to stop messing with this CRM
Yeah. Right.
and just start making calls
Making the
and sending
calls.
texts."
Yeah.
And
Right.
I just thought that's so brilliant. And then it's like, well, then you figure out the CRM, or you hire somebody part time who figures out the CRM while you continue to make calls and
Continue.
send
Yeah.
out
That was
texts.
good. You were good at that. That was a
It's
great response. Yeah.
but it was amazing. He didn't have a breakthrough messing with the CRM. He had a breakthrough making the calls and sending text.
Right. Yep.
So
And
our
he did it.
encouragement to
And he did
everybody.
it messy. And he did it sloppy.
Yeah,
And
and
he,
he's still
it's
he's like,
just I
dude, I
just
can't get
did
to it
it. Yeah.
all. Yeah. Good for you. You win. You can't get to it all. That's the best
Yeah.
place because now bring in other people that are slow to help you get to it all. Go get more.
Right.
So
Yeah.
our encouragement to everybody listening today is what's on your plate that you've been prepping for, preparing for, planning for, over analyzing for that if you take action, you'll see
Mm,
results.
mm.
Focus on doing that because you have what it takes.
Right. And like you always say, Steve, everything
Anything
worth
worth
doing
doing is worth
is worth
doing
doing
badly.
badly. Just get
Just
started.
get started. Hey,
Adios.
hey, hold on. And if you need help with it, go to freedomplanningcall.com. We'll help you with it. See ya.
Adios.
All right, man.